Hey, what's going on guys, Chris here, and today we're going to be checking out another Battlefield 1 pistol, the C93, which you'll be able to equip on pretty much any loadout once you've unlocked it, but you'll first have to reach rank 10 with the support class in order to do so. The Borchardt C93 pistol was a very early semi-automatic handgun made in the late 19th century, and it was in fact the first one ever to be mass produced and somewhat commercially successful. Its toggle lock design was heavily inspired by the same action used in the Maxim machine guns, and the gun's designer, Borchardt, also came up with a new way to reload the pistol by using spring-loaded magazines, which would be slotted into the C93's handle, which is basically the same sort of technology that still exists in modern-day semi-automatic pistols. Now, German arms manufacturer DWM came across Borchardt's newly designed handgun and decided that they liked it quite a lot. So they put the gun into production and promoted it, with some help from a guy called Luger, who demonstrated Borchardt C93 to the US Army. As it turned out, the Americans weren't exactly massive fans of the gun, and criticised its awkward ergonomics, powerful recoil, and its pricey manufacturing costs. The Swiss Army also gave the same feedback too, and so DWM took these negative points into account and decided that the gun must be improved. Unfortunately for them though, Borchardt wasn't the kind of guy who handled with criticism very well, as he became a bit delusional and thought that his C93 pistol was already perfect, just the way it was, and he basically refused to develop the weapon any further. So with that, DWM took Borchardt completely out of the picture and handed the C93's evolution over to his assistant. Yep, that Luger guy, who basically improved upon the original design, which eventually led to the P08, aka the extremely popular Luger pistol, which went on to serve in the German army through 2 world wars and become one of the most iconic handguns in history. We can probably assume that Borchardt and Luger weren't exactly the best of buddies afterwards. But anyway, moving over to Battlefield 1, the C93 boasts a maximum damage of 26.5 up to 14 meters, which from here drops right the way down to just 13.5 beyond 37 meters. So the gun doesn't exactly inflict tons of damage, as it's going to match up with the speed demons like the Frommerstock, meaning that it deals a slightly lower amount when compared with a lot of the pistols. Despite this though, it does have a 6 meter range advantage over the quicker firing guns, as damage doesn't start dropping off till a bit further, meaning that you'll be able to kill in exactly the same amount of bullets as the MLE 1903. The MLE might have a slightly higher maximum damage, but this is still going to translate over to the same 4 bullet kill up to 16 meters, and an 8 bullet kill beyond 34. Though it just means that the C93 might be a tad less consistent up close, for ensuring that a weakened player is going to go down in less shots. Another factor which is mirrored by the MLE 1903 is that 360 RPM fire rate, which is faster than both the P08 and the M1911, and kinda sits in the middle of the slower and quicker firing semi-autos. Even though it can fire faster, the C93 can still kill in the same amount of bullets as the P08 in under 35 meters, which is going to give it a generally quicker kill time. The weapon's got a very similar time to kill as the MLE, and although it's going to beat a few of the slower pistols, it's still not going to quite match up with the 450 RPM handguns or the heavy revolvers. This means that it might be a slightly weaker weapon to use in those frantic up-close and personal firefights, but down to it retaining its damage a tad better over range, it'll probably be a bit more suitable at those medium distances. As far as accuracy goes, this is one of the C93's better aspects, and despite the gun looking like it's bouncing all over the place on the screen, statistically speaking, it should feel a bit like a more accurate and stable version of the P08, as it's got a horizontal figure of 0.3 and a vertical figure of 1.3, which, again, isn't miles away from the MLE 1903, which is one of the more controllable sidearms in the game. That being said, the C93 does have some pretty high ADS spread whilst on the move, which is going to impact how much your bullets will disperse as you fire away, and this could lead to a few missed shots in the process. Not to mention that the gun does look a bit wild when it's being fired quickly, which can definitely be distracting at times, especially when you're trying to line up shots on a target in the distance. The C93 has one of the quickest muzzle velocity readings out of the pack, with a bullet speed of 390 meters per second. This speedy muzzle velocity might make it a bit easier to land shots on moving targets, as you're not going to have to lead them quite as much. It's not a huge difference to the 350 meters per second which the P08 and the MLE can reach, but it still might make it more effective beyond closer ranges to take out a weakened enemy trying to escape from your line of sight. With a total ammo capacity of 9 rounds, this gives you the same amount to work with as the P08, and means that the gun is fully capable of killing a couple of enemies in one magazine. Reload times are reasonable, and are also going to be the same as the P08 too, so you should have plenty room to keep on going, and shouldn't really have to worry about getting caught out with an empty gun. So in conclusion, the Borchardt C93 pistol is a fairly well-rounded weapon. It might have a slightly lower damage output when compared with a lot of the other similar semi-auto handguns, though because it can retain its range slightly better, it's still usually going to kill in the same amount of bullets. The gun's fire rate and magazine size is just above average, though it's the C93's recoil pattern which is worth talking about the most. Despite looking like it's got tons of recoil, the pistol is actually quite accurate, and can usually perform well, though a higher ADS spread whilst moving could prove to be more of a problem if you like to run and gun. But generally, just like the P08, the C93 will probably be a better option to use just beyond closer ranges, where you can take advantage of that quicker than average muzzle velocity and reasonably accurate recoil pattern. But that's all I've got for you in this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, give me a like if you did, and of course subscribe for loads of other guides on Battlefield 1 and other games too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.